Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Wednesday, May 28th at 11:33 a.m. And as it has been for some time, the market continues to head in the right direction with regard to currency valuations and bond market volatility. And that's the thing that caught my eye this morning. Now, this is aside from, was it two particular things? At least one particular thing I wanted to talk about aside from these chart observations. So it has taken all these years to get below the monthly guppies. That's it. It's a simple. What else can be said? Look at this. It's been since September of 2022, Q4, where it was the blow off top. And if you zoom out a little bit, this is the largest peak in quite some years since 2002 from a dollar perspective. And we just had a more recent, because obviously that's the end of 2022, and then we're talking about 2025. We had 2 months of a pushback above the 107.35 line, which is a very historic line, which goes back to the 1970s. So this interaction has been a long time in the making, and it has taken a long time to finally get back below the guppies. Now, the guppies, at least from the last 10-year perspective, about 2016, 2017, that's 9 and 8 years ago, was the A cycle of cryptocurrency proportions. And that is visible on the chart here. Obviously, the decline through the guppies was a good part of the bull market, but then the push below the guppies, right through the 200 EMA, was where things got spicy back in 2017. Same thing occurred in 20 and 21. And now, all these years later, we're finally pushing below the guppies again. There's a long time in the making, ladies and gentlemen. Folks are like, is the bull market over? What the fuck are you talking about? What bull market? There has been no bull market. A bull market is a manifestation of currency valuations around the world, as well as bond market volatility, because a bull market is really a bull market when it is backed up by an expanding currency supply. And then you got to really understand how and why a currency supply expands. And now we're talking about a currency supply of what denomination, what country, what concentration, and what direction of flows to or from the United States into or out of what other countries. There's so many subtleties to the equation, yet everyone wants to say, is it a bull market or a bear market? And what is the correlation to stocks? And they're like, okay, what kind of stocks? No one dares to ask the stupid questions. The stocks of what country? The United States or another country? Why does the word stocks translate for so many people to the United States stock market? Yet there's a lot of stock markets out there. Why? I don't get it. I don't understand the myopic uh, or the lack of critical capacity for folks to be like, oh, there's more to the story. There's so much more, such a more rich story, so much more information to understand, to tell us why what is going on, why or why what is going on, something like that. So for the last 3 years, there's been nothing. And in hindsight, there's some hindsight takeaways, such as um, more appropriate times to acquire. What were the appropriate times to acquire? We got 3 years of history to inspect, give or take, like two and a half, let's say, between Q4 of 2024, September of 2022, and basically last month. All that time between September of 22 and last month was just the market getting back into position. What market? The crypto market, because that's what we talk about here. The market getting back into position for its most favorable conditions. Now, the most favorable conditions for the crypto market is when the dollar is weak and the bond market is calm. And that's just because of the way global economics works and the way the dollar is created, how the dollar is created, the mechanics of how the dollar is created. So when the dollar is cheap, foreign currencies are getting more valuable. What happens if something's getting more valuable? It could buy more shit. So what happens if foreign currencies can buy a lot of more shit? All right, so that means at some point they're going to buy a lot of crypto shit. And that's the whole point. And that's exactly why history in 2016 and 2017, 2020 and 2021 were what they were. That's why this chart lines up with those bullish periods in the quote unquote crypto markets. And then you come back to, post '08 levels, trying to understand the nature of markets. I mean, here's why navigating markets is so hard for people. Look at this chart. This is a monthly chart, and this is 2008 to 2025, give or take. And this is a different world. This was a stabilizing world, or things, and this was obviously pre-QE era. And this is a different world for the crypto markets. So it's a different story. You cannot tell the story of the crypto markets the way they are currently based on what was occurring back then. It didn't exist. What exists currently did not exist back then, not even remotely comparable. It's a different world. But it was also a different world in global economics also. So this is your history. This is the most recent relevant history post the rip in 14, where everything is trying to figure out a world where the dollar is expensive because the dollar has been in a bull market since 2008. Well, you have out there all these people, kids, or um, people that listen and regurgitate hearsay and repeat stories about bricks and other currencies. Meanwhile, the dollar has been in a bull market since 2008. It's been up and to the right. 2008, the dollar was at DXY was at 70, and now it's at 99. So I don't think really people understand at all what's going on. And that puts us in a favorable position because we look at something and say we understand it differently. Therefore, we're taking a position with regard to capital management and capital management based on under our understanding of markets is very different than what most people are doing because we're looking at very different things and we understand the way the system is structured very differently. So the title of the stream was Boomer Meme Coins and Crypto FinTech. So who out there in social media land talks about basically all of stocks in terms of boomer meme coins? And we've described why I consider them meme coins. In fact, stocks may actually be meme coins of equal shit as compared to pump.fun shitters. Literally, that's what companies do. They just shit it out. They shit out stocks. They dilute. They just dump it. And people buy the shit because they're meme coins. But what's the difference between a meme coin and something with value? What is value? These are very almost existential questions. The point is crypto fintech companies. So we said most people don't understand stocks because we talk about them in terms of boomer meme coins, and that's really their value. And then we talk about crypto fintech companies. This shit, this crypto is companies. They are companies. What? What kind of insane shit does the captain talk about for all these years? So, point of the stream's title today was that crypto fintech companies are mispriced compared to boomer meme coin stocks, which are not really companies. The stocks are associated with the companies. It's a way for the company to dump on retail, a way for the company to raise capital by sucking money out of retail's wallets. And retail is people, general public, that have Fidelity accounts, Charles Schwab accounts, so on and so forth. So that's the point of stocks is to take money and they don't get much back. Look at the dividend rates. They're not giving much back at all, other than the buyback concept, which is basically corporate quantitative easing. Corporate QE, because that fucking makes sense. There's great value in corporate QE. All right, so if crypto fintech companies are mispriced compared to boomer meme coin stocks, holy shit. Because what are the market caps of boomer meme coin stocks? 50 mil to 2 mil is low cap. 2 mil to 50 mil is mid cap. Yeah, some big capitalizations out there in the meme coin market on Nasdaq and the S&P 500, so on and so forth. So what does the market caps look like across crypto fintech and actual productive enterprise, fintech enterprise? Small cap, much smaller than low cap, less than, so some of these things, it's hard to get in less than 50 mil. Okay, so maybe it's low cap. 50 mil to 2 bill is low cap in traditional stock market range. So that implies a good part of the crypto market's at least established, not, bullshit, but, pump.fun garbage. 50 mil plus. Yeah, and even from a meme coin standpoint, there's a fair amount of meme coins that are low cap. Certainly qualify as low cap, some of the more popular ones. But the point is 50 to 2 bill. It's low cap. It's pretty small compared to what they can be. I mean, Aave's sitting at less than 4 bill market cap, which is a little bit above low cap, small mid cap company. What happens when it becomes a moderate mid cap company? And what's to stop these valuations from occurring? What's the difference between a crypto fintech company and a stock market, a boomer meme coin stock on the stock market? What's the difference? There is no difference. It's a company's a company, a ticker is a ticker, and all that matters is arbitrage based on interest rates or perceived opportunity with regard or an opportunity cost or an interest rate, cash flow potential. So if something's paying 10% on crypto and something's paying 8%, 6%, 6 to 8% in the stock market, there's an arbitrage opportunity. Okay. So over time, markets will reach equilibrium and opportunities will be pursued, and cash flows from underperformance to outperformance. So all it takes is a period of outperformance, and that sucks capital like a siphon. If you've ever siphoned water or whatever from a body of water like a pond or something that's flooded, a siphon effect. So when a market starts to go up, it keeps going up and it keeps drawing in capital from other sources because something's outperforming. Now, the crypto market has a history of doing that very ferociously because it has historically been micro and small and low cap, the pink sheets, so to speak. Story is different now, different in a more exciting way because the small and the low cap entities in crypto are so comparable to companies that everyone always talks about in stock market land. There's no difference. And as more people realize that, these crypto companies will be priced accordingly, low and mid cap, boomer meme coin levels. And that's when things start to get interesting. And that's when there's 50Xs and 100Xs across the board, across the big names. All right. So this morning we had DXY and move both print below 100 for the first time in forever. Cue a frozen meme. So this chart implies or tells us that we are still waiting. So we finally have the punch of the guppies on the monthly, or if you want to look a little different, you can say red guppies on the weekly. So this is another perspective that we've been waiting for a long time. This is basically color-coded crypto bull market mode. And the guppies were red. Here was your bull market in 16, 17, and here was your bull market in 20 and 21. And guess what? They just turned red. Now, we're talking 10 years history here. We're not talking like 50 years history. And history rhymes, it doesn't repeat. But if this rhymes where red guppies beget more red guppies, beget more dollar depreciation, we have a cyclicality. And cycles tend to continue until capitulation. And then they reverse. So what's capitulation? Not now. The cycle just started, just turned red. So from the weekly, you got your color-coded crypto bull market. From the monthly, it's nice to see it finally get below the guppies for the first time in 2.5, with 3/4 years, something like that. And then we're still not there because once move rolls over and the dollar is in this position from a weekly guppy standpoint and a monthly guppy standpoint, that's when things start to get exciting. We haven't had move roll over since 2020. So the point is, this was an artificial spike in volatility. Well, it wasn't really artificial. It was the system fracturing, and it really started in September of 2019. Folks remember the repo crisis? I mean, nobody really understands the way the system works. How many people remember back in 2019? And you got me out here saying, "Oh, that was the real crisis. It wasn't March of 2020 and COVID. No, it was September of 2019, because when the United States banking system failed, just like in March of 2023, when the United States banking system failed. Nobody talks about this shit. Uh, the banking system failed. Literally, it would have been chaos and just post-apocalyptic Immortan Joe Mad Max saga because the United States banking system failed in September of 2023 and then in March of 2023 and September of 2019. It did. And then they bailed it out. And then you had a disruption in March of 2020, which kind of set things into a tailspin, specifically with regard to volatility. And they blew the biggest bubble they've blown in a long time since 2008. So, if anything, from a volatility perspective, that would be interesting if it's kind of like a post 2008 scenario where over the next 15 years, all the United States and foreign governments do is suppress bond market volatility and force the banks and the pension funds and the hedge funds to buy it. I mean, the hedge funds will buy it because they lever it up and they get, they're outperforming the inflation rate. So that kind of makes sense for them. They're taking on the risk to outperform. I don't know. But the whole point is that's literally what occurred post '08. If you see here in '09 until, you know, Q4 2019, the repo crisis, and then it finally blew out in March of 2020. And between then, '09 and 2020, they suppressed bond market volatility for years. Years. Maybe we're coming into that kind of cycle. And that would be interesting. And that kind of coincides with a dollar down market, specifically considering we've had a dollar bull market since 2008. It's like, when's the secular trend? Zoom out on the DXY and you're like, where's the trend? Where's the secularity? Where's the cyclicality? Where's the cyclicality? I mean, you need some sort of cyclicality here to balance out this planet. And that's exactly what the administration is talking about. The trade imbalances are literally a manifestation of the lack of cyclicality. So economics presents itself in politics, and the story of politics indirectly tells the story of economics. Okay, so all this shit makes sense and it's all connected. All connected, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. If you're on X or on YouTube, please feel welcome to ask any questions. More than happy to talk about anything. What else was I thinking about today? Oh, I very much look forward to this product. Very much look forward to this new non-custodial United States debit card. So it's reminds me of Monolith, which no longer exists, I think. It's old DeFi debit card that was available, I think, in either Britain or Europe, but never in the US. But now, when this goes live, it's a non-custodial crypto debit card in the US. Yes, that's exactly what I want to see. And that is how you could structure your daily activities around, um, financially. You need a capacity to spend. All right, this is how you spend. So I always told the story starting a long time ago. First thing you do when you come to crypto is learn how to spend. Because most people don't understand. They think of like, oh, I'm going to invest, and okay, then what happens if I make money? And they're like, what is money? And oh shit, there's a big story. The first thing to do is learn how to spend. Spend what? Stable coins, dollars. Oh, it's that simple. And then the equation is like, all right, how to make dollars? And you're like, okay, this makes sense. But first, learn how to spend it, because then you can figure out how to fold it into your daily life. All right. How do you go to the supermarket and swipe a debit card with crypto on it? Stable coins. And then how do you make the stable coins? Like, oh, pizza shops, buy us out, XYZ, three rules, five businesses in crypto. That's it. And then that's it. And then look, I just told you the story of the last 10 years since 2016. Obviously, this is something I've been involved with for all those years. So start now. And by 2035, you'll have 10 years doing this shit. And then you'll have a different story to tell. Then you'll have a story that maybe is comparable to mine or has learned from my experience and has learned from the experience of the other macroeconomic greats. Other. I'm no macroeconomic great. From the macroeconomic greats, let's say. Mike says he was a monolith. Monolith was so damn cool. I remember when they came out, I was like, please give me something in the US like this. And now we got Spritz. That's literally, I mean, this is a crypto debit card. This is nothing like Coinbase or credit cards and having to transfer it to bank accounts. And this is, you're able to run your normal life through crypto as a bank account, and you can get need bank accounts in the same way. Now, obviously, you still do because you work in meat space and you get a W-2 and you get direct deposits. They go to bank accounts. So there's literally no reason to take bank deposits and transfer them to a crypto debit card to spend it. You got debit cards for bank accounts. So the point of this type of product is when you have invested in crypto businesses, and these businesses generate a salary, and you're able to spend your salary just like you spend your salary that gets deposited to a bank account. In the meat space, your salary gets deposited to a bank account you spend on a debit card. In crypto, your salary gets deposited to stablecoins and you spend on a debit card. You see what I did there? It's the same thing, just two different types of accounts. Same debit card, different technology. but they both just swipe. So if you're like, all right, what's the point of a crypto debit card? Yeah, all right, fine. Now you're literally back in 2018 territory with the story. Like, if you're thinking, what's the point of a crypto debit card? You're stuck in 2018 and 2019, like trying to figure out, oh my God, what's the point of dollars on the blockchain? Back then, 2018, 2019, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, well, what the hell? Put a dollars on a blockchain. What was the point of USDC and USDT? It made no sense. And then post 2019 came along, 2020 to now. It's been 5 years. It's a different world. And we've told that story, and I'm not going to repeat it right now. It's been a long time. Different world post 2019. Um, but now 5 years later, we finally have a capacity to seamlessly spend our crypto revenues from our businesses that we own. And there's only 5 businesses in crypto which you can buy, and they'll pay you real money that you could spend through products like this from Spritz Finance. Now you can make your life difficult and you can transfer it to a centralized exchange and then transfer it to a bank account and then spend it on a bank debit card. So that's 3 steps versus something like this, which is 1 step. All right, very simple. Hope that helps. I should give you guys, I'll post some referral links eventually. Maybe the first when it comes out. Maybe I'll just do it later today. Or maybe I'll just do it periodically because I like this product so much. Aaron, hello. How are you, my friend? Teddy, good morning. Buddy, yes. Ren V2, whenever it comes out, it feels similar to V1. I love Ren. I still have my dark nodes because, that capital was allocated. Believe it or not, that capital, I believe, was allocated in 2019. I believe I bought those dark nodes in 2019. What was it called? Chaos Net. I still have them to this today, till today. I have no idea when it's going live. It's the same thing as Tapioca's relaunch. I have no idea what the hell is going to play out. I believe very firmly in the concept of no takesy backsies. Okay, you can't triple stamp a double stamp. Dumb and Dumber reference. I don't like refunds, exchanges, or returns. I have the balls to say if I'm going to buy something, I'm going to buy something. And I'm going to own the shit out of it. I don't, I find that I do that when I go to stores and I buy products. It's a lack of commitment, confidence. I bought this product. I knew what I was doing. I own it. It's just I can't return shit. I just can't return shit. So that my curse is seeing the same thing in everything. Whether I go into a Best Buy store and buy an electronic device or whatever, or I go on for folks in the back, if I go on Coinbase and I buy a crypto, it's the same shit. I bought something. And for folks up front in class, you go on CowSwap and you get something. I bought something. I bought it. I own it. I chose to buy it for a reason. Now, the problem people might have is they didn't necessarily buy things for a good reason. Okay, that's another story. So Ren V2 I bought for a reason, and for the last many years I've had enough conviction to be like, I bought it. I own it. So I look forward to see what happens. And if what happens is good, great. If what happens doesn't pan out, I've had plenty of those kinds of investments over the years. Yeah, I ran V1. I ran 3 V1 nodes through the entire. I was one of the first Ren BTC minters on Curve when Curveverse launched. I remember when there was. I was the first depositor in the Ren BTC LP. I mean, there was. I think I put in like 25 grand or something back then, and that was the first. I remember when Curve had $50,000 on it. I remember that when it had its first $1 million volume day, and now it regularly does hundreds of millions of dollars in volume, yet alone the peak bull period in 2021. I remember some weird shit. I remember when whatever his name was launched Curve, third party launched Curve because the scripts were publicly available on GitHub. So someone else said, "Fuck it, launch." So Curve launched by a third party. Well, it was the CRV token. I mean, the platform stable swap was there prior to the DAO and CRV. I don't know. I've been around since all that shit, and that's not even the old stuff. It's weird getting old. It's really weird getting old. But yes, if it's anything similar to V1, that was nice, and I think there's big room for decentralized, um, on-chain or decentralized Bitcoin custodian. WBTC is fine. As much as Justin Sun has bad tones, he's just fine, and WBTC is fine. But I like TBTC. I like EBTC. I like whatever the hell Frax is cooking up. I like the stuff from Aladdin DAO, and I would very much like the stuff that comes from a Ren product if they ever finish up. Buddy, I remember last week you mentioned Cosmos losing traction. Say is moving off of it. Injective looks great for RWAS, RWAs, TradFi, and fintech as a whole. Yeah, listen, Say moving off Cosmos is like a corporation moving from Britain to Australia. I don't know. It's a geographic arbitrage. It's a financial system arbitrage. They're just moving from one network to another. Okay, so that's cool. Point is, I wouldn't cut out Cosmos. Cosmos was and remains big in the East, and I still think it's very interesting. I wouldn't. It's irrelevant for a person like me, meaning I own things. I bought it. I believe in no takesy backsies. So, albeit I do have my threshold for invalidation. We invalidated Aura. I invalidated Convex, which is not invalidated. It's just invalidated for my likings, my consideration. Um, what else do we invalidated a couple of things, but I'm not going to invalidate exposure. So that's the difference. Um, very so let's adjust. I believe in no takesy backsies, but all right, there's a couple of conditions where I'll get rid of shit. Excess exposure, and that's a big one. If I get rid of the cosmos that I have no exposure, and it's like Ramses has been killing me. It's just produces like almost no cash flow. But if I get rid of that exposure, where's Arbitrum? Where's my exposure to Arbitrum? So I can't do that. So I must maintain exposure. That's what I appreciate the most because I have no idea where the biggest win will come from. No one does. And that's the whole point of these nascent microscopic markets. Nobody knows where the biggest win is going to come from. So you need exposure to different things. So I think in terms of exposure to markets. Frankly, I think in terms of exposure to the base layer of markets. And what is the only gas token I own? I think is the locked Cosmos. That thing is locked. It's been locked for years. It's the only gas token I think I own, which I semi consider it an investment. Maybe it's grandfathered in and it predates my most up to date methodology. Something like that. I nailed you earlier. My good point. Good old days. Dean, random one. How do you get your face on the pirate? I'm playing around because there is nothing to do in crypto. Is it called face swap? No, no. I don't even know. I don't remember. I have it configured in my it's a Discord bot and it hooks into Midjourney. I don't know how I'll find it. Maybe stop by Discord, see if I could find the particular bot name. But it's a bot. It's called Face Swap, and I upload my. But you could do it with a bunch of images, and it'll put your face on a mid anything, something you make. So I happen to use Midjourney. That's what I like, and obviously, a couple of different ways to make high quality images nowadays. But yeah, that is something to do when the market is quiet. Isn't that remarkable? Isn't that remarkable? I appreciate this post specifically because there's nothing to do in crypto. That is why it's become quiet. And that is peak opportunity. And most people will never understand that. Most people wait for there to be a line out the door of the Best Buy to be like, what the hell's going on? Or the line out of the door of a Coliseum or stadium, like, oh, that's gonna be a big party. That's gonna be a big game. Shit, got gotta operate different. If you wanna win slash get ahead slash be different than the majority. The majority will always lose. The majority cannot process, cannot comprehend really the way the system works. They're merely participating in the system. And that's why the Matrix movies were forever metaphorical of actual reality. Um, there is nothing to do, but that's because you did it already. And that's probably a statement that resonates with you. You already put in the work, and that means a lot. Anyhow, Peter Pete, peace. Peace comes at the end. Until then, we gotta figure shit out. This is war. I don't know, something like that. I use Cipher HQ now. No, it works for us US users as well. What is Cipher HQ? Debit card? Is it a debit? Okay. Thank you very much. That is going right into the off-ramp section of Discord. Our Discord, ladies and gentlemen. It's all on chain like monolith. Okay. All right. So obvious. I'm not gonna. I already have my interactions and experience with Spritz, but this is great. Wow. The first thing to learn whenever you get into crypto or you're teaching someone is how to spend, because then they can understand what they need to do. So if you could put a stable coin, put $10, $50 on a debit card, and you show someone, and they're like, "Oh, that was cool. Like, how do I get more of these stable coins?" And then they're like, "Oh, this is how I could get more stable coins." Okay, and then teaches you teach the why people need to invest because they want more stable coins on a debit card, and that's a good reason to invest. Buy a salary. Killing it, Mike. Appreciate that. Um, Loki, much a pleasure. Great to see you. You talk about the stablecoin narrative. What projects do you see as having a lot of potential? There's only a couple, and it's obviously Curve Finance with CRVUSD. It's Aave with Go, Inverse Finance, Frax Finance, Abracadabra. I don't know what's going on with KeyDAO. They're probably low on the list. Dyad is I put a low on the list as well. But Spark with DAI and USDS. So would you this what are you going to invest in Maker MKR? I don't know. I don't even know what the hell's going on with the ticker and irrelevant. I never liked them as a business to invest in. Okay, Abracadabra, hard story because of its history. Volatile. And don't mind the fall. Go to the weekly. We thought it was going to run for a bit. It was up at 0.002. That was nice. I vividly remember that because that's when yields were going parabolic. I don't know. I always wanted to own them. I did, and I didn't. I was thinking very differently back when they launched. Early investor, but I don't know. The best thing about them is they survived. I mean, the protocol is still working, and the protocol still generates capital and revenue and money. So that means there's people working because there's money to be made. That means it will continue to exist. So maybe the reason I appreciate them so much is because they are like where many crypto companies will be, completely dependent on voting. So they are one of the largest renters, one of the earliest to figure it out, and they recycle their capital through Curve to get better bang for the buck. And these numbers will go up in the coming years, up, and to the right, in my opinion. It's the same thing with convex, but so you could bribe through convex, you could bribe through staked out, you could bribe through vote market. All right, that means it's gonna be cyclical. Sometimes it's better to bribe here, sometimes it's better to bribe there. So the whole point is that that's cool. And pick one. There's no reason to own them all because it's all the same vertical. It's all the Curve Federation. The whole point is I choose the base layer. Anyhow, what projects do you see as having a lot of potential? That's it. Those are the biggest businesses in crypto. It's dollars. It's the CRV USD. It's Go and Aave is huge, but they're already a decently priced market cap, coming in at 3.8, 3.9 bill market cap, something like that. But that's a hell of a product. And they could what if they go to a large cap stock, a half a trill, three, four, 500, couple hundred trill, I said, couple hundred bill, 1 to 500 billion dollars. You're talking 20, 30, 40, 50, 100x from here on their market cap. So that's pretty cool. I think Aave is a heck of a product. Aave might be the best expression of crypto fintech as a business. That's what Aave is. Inverse never really hit my fancy from an investment standpoint. I do like them as a product. Frax, the biggest narrative in crypto. The best tech, which has not been the greatest investment, but it is the biggest narrative in all of crypto. And that's their whole business. Is the central bank of crypto. Dollars and bonds and yields. There's nothing like Frax Finance, which has not been the best investment, but that's irrelevant. It's relevant yet irrelevant. Preferably protocols that don't require voting, more staking and forget. Or stake and forget. You want cash? There's no. Let me tell you something. There's only one protocol in all of crypto that allows you to lock, and all you have to do is relock every couple months. And there's no voting, and that's Curve. Now the problem there is if you don't vote, you're going to miss out on a lot of revenue because you get your Curve. If you go over to DEX and you go over to the dashboard, Curve will give you your cash flow. But if you vote, you're getting multiples of that cash flow because there's the two revenue components of what VECRV offers. So there's really nothing that's just truly passive, unless there's, like auto compounding. You might as well just throw it in something like Beefy Finance or some shit. That's actually not a bad idea. I wonder if they're on. I wonder if Beefy's on Sonic. Beefy? Beefy. There you are. Beefy Finance. Is this Beefy follow me? No, I follow them. Beefy. Okay, yeah, that was a really hard domain name to remember. I mean, these guys have been around for so many years. So it's such a good. They've done so well. Nothing to invest in, but this is like LPing. It's like active capital management. I want to see Sonic. Where the hell is Sonic? Rootstock. They still have, huh? Sonic. I want to see stablecoins. They don't have shadow integration. Huh. Uniswap. Uniswap's paying the most because they don't have shadow. They don't have shadow integration on Sonic. And Uniswap's paying 26% on stablecoins. Frax. Big volume. Because there's no incentives on Uniswap. Interesting. Huh. See, 26%. Oh my God, it changes everything. People are just like the big money is gonna dilute the crap out of things like that. Look, there's 124,000 in TBO. How many trillions of dollars are gonna get printed this year? Trillions. The numbers are so hard to digest. So hard. Anywho, it's a good question. Not the easiest answer. To optimize capital receipts, voting is usually involved, and at least relocking, and minimum relocking. I mean, even with Velodrome, you got relocking. Not relocking, you got voting because it has auto relock. Anyhow, I guess you'll say Curve, but do you see any solidly Dex as a strong project? Staying Ramsey's? No, no. Shadow's been performing the best of the VE3 threes, even significantly better than Velodrome. Velodrome has the biggest narrative because of the super chain. Ramses has been decimated. Cleopatra's dead. Mantle's dead. Linnea and um, and Nile has an interesting and a strong narrative with consensus. Pretty dead there also. Yeah, I mean, you see all this from you go to analytics, DeFi Llama, and you go to the stablecoins, not hacks, stablecoins. And for instance, Sonic minus 11% liquidity week over week. Things are going to slow down. Linnea. The Sonic's a $505 million blockchain at minus 66 mil week over week, minus 12% of all capital week over week, which is literally like a depression. If you were talking about a nation state, that kind of capital flight out of an economy, it's a catastrophe. It's a depression. It's a deflationary collapse. And if you go over to Linnea and it actually loads, I might not be able to get there because it's just not loading. Maybe it's because it had no. You know why it's not loading? Because they don't have it cash. Because no one's loaded it, and God knows when. Because I'm the only person to load it. You go over to base, 4 bill, flat, completely flat in all of 2025. Literally no growth whatsoever. Arbitrum, great, I can't. Painful. Whereas optimism, oh, great. It's painful to look at. The only one that's been paying well is Shadow. And but there you go. You'll have your cyclicality. Shadow will be hot, and then something else will be hot, and then something else will be hot, or maybe Shadow continues to outperform. The only way to manage these types of investments is exposure. Thinking in terms of exposure. Great, I got exposure to Sonic. I got exposure to Arbitrum. I have exposure to Optimism. And you want to think in terms of exposure. Oh, that's great. See, this is what happens. Linnea, it didn't have it. Oh, there goes that UI. Arrow, good afternoon, my friend. How are you? You get exposure to Arbitrum through Contango. Oh, yeah, I got nothing left to sell in Ramses. I might, it's if I had to sell that at a 30 to 50% discount, I could care less. I might as well keep it because then I retain exposure to aside from Contango. to an exchange, a foreign exchange, FX, whereas Contango is derivatives. Contango is literally the only derivatives product that I own. That's it. I own nothing else. No other derivatives product. But you make a good point. I still have Atom, Secret, Osmo staking. I as well. As you said, check back in 5 years. Yeah. So the amount of capital that I have over there as well, I'll check back. I've had Cosmos. I remember when Osmo launched. I've had Cosmos since I don't know. It's got to be were they around in 2019? If not, it was early 2020. Since the beginning, I'll just hold it. I shall just hold it. These quantum stocks are the ultimate meme coin. The companies literally have no product or revenue. It's just research, and most of it isn't working great. I have no idea what kind of bullshit they're selling on the stock market nowadays. It's all worthless. They're all meme coins. Even NASA, even Nvidia is a meme coin. Unless it's paying you, unless it exercises or qualifies for rule number 3, fuck you, pay me. It's a meme coin. That's it. It's based on narrative. Because otherwise, if I own something and I value it because it pays for the food at my fucking table on Friday, pardon me, but I'm getting upset. What's the value in something and going up in price and I have to sell it? No, pay for my dinner. So it's a meme coin unless it pays for dinner. Just that's the rule. That's rule number 4. It's a meme coin unless it pays for dinner, which is all right. Maybe it's rule 3.1 or 3B because rule 3 is fuck you, pay me. And for the folks in the back of class, my pin tweet. And 3B is pay for what? Dinner. Thoughts on running an Ethereum node? I have. I've run one. I still have it underneath. On Discord, there's literally an entire channel called Nodes where I was spinning up a local node. It was a full node, and I don't know. I went through my node period, or I never wanted to run 32. I wanted to just have it for data purposes, so I could run a local uh, you know RPC. Um, so I didn't want to stake. I don't know. I don't want the 32. I don't want to invest in Ethereum. I don't want to invest in gas tokens. I want to invest in things that pay me, and I don't really see the inflation rate. I don't know as a payment. Maybe my narrative will change over time, but I don't invest in Ethereum. I don't invest in Bitcoin. I treat Bitcoin as a cash. It's not an investment, in my opinion. Quiet before the moonshot. In my opinion, that's where we are. We're in that awkward period where people think nothing's going to happen, and then all of a sudden things start getting weird, and then they're completely sidelined. And that's just I've seen this before. This is Q4 2019 written all over it. Retail may not be back, but the devs are they're building. They're so everywhere is getting built. I've never seen anything like this, dude. Resupply is doing very well. Resupply seems like a good proxy bet for usage of stables. Yeah. Okay. I think my opinion is adjusting on resupply. I tend not to be early on things, but okay. I'm going to start to think about resupply again. I'll give it some thought. We'll talk on Discord. Hmm. I'll think about that some more. Mike, saw you on your last stream. You got a bag of liquidity. I do have liquidity. Me and my bro got a decent bag of that too. I think the Aave and Syrup charts are telling people where to look. I think liquidity is set to follow as beta. Yeah, the whole market rallies. Uh, everything goes vertical. Frax Frax was vertical, and it's the perfect example of great tech isn't the greatest investment. But Frax was completely vertical. Frax was up at 40 something dollars, if I recall correctly. Liquidity will do very well. Everything will get repriced. My opinion is the entire top list, the top market cap crypto will be mid cap. Mid cap stocks. So low cap stocks are 50 mil to 2 bill market cap. All right, let's get the mid caps. Mid cap stocks, 50 bill market cap on businesses that are productive. A couple of trillion, 1 trillion, $1 to $2 trillion worth of stable coins in these crypto markets sooner rather than later. And that'll produce some interesting financial activity and velocity and fees and cash flow and stuff like that. Ladies and gentlemen, Wednesday, May 28th, 12:29 p.m. Thank you all for joining me. 125 people made it to the end of the stream and are now all that much more rational because of it. I wish you all a good one. It's midweek. I will see you guys and gals later this Friday. Until then,